please put it there. If you think something is going on, EEO is there. We're there. But I try and encourage people because just to give you a statistic, just at the medical center in FY, I'm just going to use an FY08 figure. We only had 13 Hispanics that visited the VA Medical Center for care.
Wow.
And we have put things into place, limited English policy. We got everything there to try and encourage all minorities to come. So please encourage them to fill that out. I know years ago it was a barrier. So I mean, we are working on ways to keep it from being a barrier.
Now, Ms. Leverson, are you also Women Veterans Coordinator?
No, that's Linda Warren.
Linda Warren.
Like I said, we have many programs out there. So if you call me, I do know how to. Even with Pat here, we have a details office in the hospital, and that's Donna. So we got all these offices to try and help right there in the medical center when people walk out there.
And that's one of my other collaterals that's indigent veterans. I work with Donna. So if you get any one of us, we'll get you to the right person. We don't wear that hat, we know who does. We can get you to that person. And I want to add something too before we close. Anyone in here who would like to have us to come out to your church one afternoon, please give us your name, your phone number. Go back to your church, talk to your minister, and tell him, the last church that I went to was Virginia Avenue. I went to Emmanuel Baptist one Saturday afternoon. So any churches, talk to your minister and we'll come out. We can have a little session with members in your church. And don't forget the widows. Any widows in your church, put it in your church bulletin that you have someone out on such and such a date and time, and that you are there to speak with any veterans, any service personnel in reserves, and widows of veterans, widows who are not receiving benefits. Just because they're not receiving does not mean that there's a possibility that they could receive. I went to an apartment complex that was close to Churchill Downs, where they have a lot of groomsmen that work there, and some of them retired or disabled. And we had a session, and there were two guys, and both of them received Social Security, but the Social Security amount was a little less than what the VA pays. And so the VA can fill that void, and pay them up to the maximum of what VA pays. So, even if it's $200, $200 is a lot of money when you don't have the $200 before, picking up $200, that's a lot of money. So a lot of people, and especially in our churches, they may not want people to know what they're getting or anything, but tell them that it's confidential. Have them come to the meeting. They can come to the meeting. I went to Mount Lebanon Home not too long ago. I will take names and telephone numbers. I will call them back. They don't have to discuss their income situation among people that they go to church with. I will call them and we can talk privately, because there are too many people out there. They're getting Social Security and they're thinking, well, I get Social Security, that's, okay. So, but it's always that possibility. And if we can find just one person out there who's getting a check and could get a little bit more, it's worth it.
I have a question. Do you all have anything in place where you go out and talk to the reserves and National Guard units about benefits?
Yellow ribbon. That's our yellow ribbon with the medical center. Linda.
The yellow ribbon is, which I'm part of, and maybe I can tell you a little bit about it. It's after they come back from their deployment. National Guard goes out 30, 60, and 90 days. And there's a lot of us that go out. The VA goes out. VA benefits go out. Regional
But do y'all go out before deployment?
They go, if they're post-deployment, there is a representative from the regional offices that gives them a little thing to fill out.
While they're out there, I'm a reservist, 28 years reservist, and I found out I do claims for the Blind Veterans Association. And I found out some of the people that I helped with their claims, they were reservists, National Guard. Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't know about LODs. They didn't know anything about documentation. So when they actually come back,
what's that LOD thing?
When they actually,
line of duty.
Excuse me, line of duty. When they actually come back and go back to their regular jobs, just say I had a young man as a truck driver, where he had injured himself doing the deployment, but he didn't know anything about LODs, he didn't have any
Well,
documentation.
there's a little trick
So-
to that, and I'll
So
tell
when he came back to do his truck driving job, within 3 months, they fired him because he had back problems.
there's a trick to that, and I'm not saying he did this, but when you deploy, first you go to your post-deployment, which mine was Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, and you spend 4 weeks up there, or 4 months up there to get ready to go to your deployment. Now, when you come back from your deployment, unless you are medevac, you will come back right through that same deployment. You have a post-deployment health assessment. If you don't fill out that to say that you've had injuries,
See, that's the
they
problem.
won't check them.
That's the problem I'm getting from the ones that's coming back. The
And
only
that's the
thing
problem
they
with
thinking
my
about,
brain injured ones,
yeah, the
too.
only thing they think about getting out there and getting
They
home. They will actually put yes, 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 and come on home because they don't want to go through the process of maybe being
And
held
that
over.
is a problem for the VA, that's
Yeah.
a problem for us, it's a problem for anybody
It
that's
sounds like you
with
just answered the question.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah,
it's
because
not being
I'm
done.
having a lot of problem to get benefits for them because they don't have the documentation, medical documentation. It's not, especially my reserves and National Guard, because the first thing they say, well, how did you know you didn't hurt yourself on the job before you left or when you came back?
Well,
you know, it's a little bit different
If
for
they have
active
an
army.
if they have an honorable discharge and they got their DD-214 and they can go to the VA, the VA would not be able to give them a diagnosis, but they can treat the symptoms.
Yes, but I'm talking about the benefits. That's what I'm
Yeah,
basically
that's the
the
thing.
benefits. Yeah.
Well,
So I think someone.
they're
needs
all
to-
told, believe me, because we were told over and over
Oh
again
yeah, I was told also. but-
before we left.
Yeah.
And I think you hit it on the head because all of us that were getting out of the military, we weren't thinking about VA. We're thinking about our next job, where we're going to live, our children, and we pretty much, was the VA there? Yes, they were, but were we listening? No, we weren't. I know the VA came to my tap back in '93. I know they did, but I wasn't listening to them. I was thinking about what am I going to do when I get out.
Well, you don't think about it before you go there.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you have a good staff sergeant that's in charge, they know about it.